Hello and welcome to another update video about Bitcoin. We start on the daily chart and then we will take a look at the shorter time frame. I just want to mention in the beginning that today obviously CPI data is coming out. Just expect some volatility, some crazy movements. I mean, what we've seen overnight was not anything major. I mean, we've simply seen a 1 to 2% drop. That is nothing really for Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin can do that at an instant. That is nothing unusual. This is completely normal intraday volatility. We haven't even broken below micro support on the smaller time frame. But what I'm talking about is, volatility around the time when the CPI data is released. Could be even random movements, seemingly random movements. Sometimes on days like these, when we get announcements, when we get some catalysts, it can happen that, let's say, scenarios are being completed within minutes or even seconds. So please be aware of that. Also, that can always be due to maybe, let's say more extreme sentiment or rapidly shifting sentiment. There can be wave patterns that are driven into their extremes. So maybe where a retracement would normally not go beyond the 78.6 retracement, on a day like that, it might retrace 90%, things like that. So just expect that always, on a day like that. Typically, patterns aren't changed. Typically, the trend isn't changing. Micro patterns might get invalidated on a day like that, but it typically wouldn't change the overall scenarios. But yeah, we'll take a look here at the daily chart first. Here you can see the Bitcoin chart situation hasn't changed. What I mentioned a few days ago was the orange support area that you see here on the daily. It's between 51,940 and 55,640. That's still a relevant support region in in the white wave count, which is the bullish one. We were watching for a reversal there. The price did show a reaction, but obviously not enough to really confirm a sustained reversal. If it really is a reversal, then to confirm that, we would need to see a 5-wave move on a micro level, so on the 1 hour time frame. That's not the case yet. So we need to see a 3-wave move up in order to get a clear pattern and also to confirm that white wave 2 indeed bottomed here. That was early September, Friday the 6th, and that we're now on our way in a 3rd wave towards the 70k area. So that's the white count. Support remains for that scenario at 51,940. That's not broken, but until we get the 5-wave move up, the yellow count is slightly leading still, in my view. So we could easily still go down lower. There is nothing that the price has done to invalidate the yellow count. We've just seen some green candles, but more important than green candles is the structure. Okay, and if we see only 3 waves up, there is nothing that the price is doing to confirm a reversal. Very important. I know it takes patience, but that's why we're always watching for 5 waves. If we don't see 5 waves, we at least know that we have to expect some random volatile movement, because we don't have clarity. With only 3 waves, the market is at best undecided. And if the market is unable to form a 5-wave pattern to the upside, even on a smaller time frame, this typically indicates trend continuation, or, as I said, to the downside, or at best indecision. So yellow count could still drive us closer to 45.6k in the coming weeks and months. That's why I said this week is a decision week, because if we get a 5-wave move up on a smaller time frame, we can adjust and look for long trade setups. Well, there was one here on the daily. Some of you might have acted on it, but it was not a great setup without a first 5-wave move up and 3-wave pullback on a smaller time frame. And that's precisely what we're watching for at the moment on the smaller time frame, which is why we're going and take a look at that smaller time frame chart at the moment. Before we do that, my update yesterday for gold members, one of the later ones in the evening, did stress that the price is currently in a critical decision zone, where the potentially bullish white scenario could be confirmed. At the same time, there is a possible setup for a short trade, though support has not yet been breached, and we need obviously a break of support to confirm that the short trade is actually working out. The price also broke above resistance, which likely leads to invalidation, but invalidation for the Short setup. This is how it looked late yesterday. Invalidation for a wave 2, as you might know if you're dealing with Elliott Wave, is always a break above the beginning of the yellow wave 1 to the downside. So that is how it looked yesterday. But positioning for a trade is often, well, the minimal risk if we're close to an invalidation point. So the 1-2 setup to the downside, a short trade, yeah, developed nicely overnight. And I mentioned in the last few days repeatedly there was a short trade setup, which is still active, okay? And some of you might have taken it, some of you not. But please note that there is still a potential for a fifth wave up, and therefore just manage your risk, okay? The reward to risk ratio is clearly better for a short trade. I mean, now maybe not anymore after the price dropped already overnight. But this is the setup I was watching for, short trade setup, because on the long side, we're only watching for a fifth wave up in white. Huh? But in the yellow count, we're watching for the third wave down, which is normally giving us a much better reward to risk ratio. Okay, now the situation might be different because we've dipped back into support. So opening a short trade in a support area is not so, let's say attractive anymore. Whereas anybody who did act on that short trade setup, let's go here, would now be nicely in profit, okay? And this is a situation where we can say, okay, look, the third wave might be unfolding right now. Okay, it could still give us one more high. This is, by the way, the shorter time frame chart. But entering a short trade now in the support area doesn't give you that good reward to risk ratio anymore. Rather, from a reward to risk point of view, the white count becomes interesting again. So this is the situation. But either way, from an analysis point of view, yeah, both counts that are presented yesterday, also in my last video, are still valid. We only have a 3-wave move up. Yes, yellow nearly got invalidated, but didn't get invalidated. At the same time, the white count is still possible because, as I put into that last update, we haven't broken below support. The next support levels are 55,840 and 55,319. So the 50% retracement and the 61.8 retracement there. Any break below these levels would more strongly confirm the yellow wave count. I mean, confirmation is not certainty. That's very important as well. But it does start to rule out a fifth wave to the upside. Now, of course, a larger 3-wave move to the upside can unfold, which is why we always have to be on our toes, especially as long as the price is holding above the Friday low 6th of September at 52,700 roughly, or 650. But for now, at the moment, momentum seems to be here short term on the downside, and we might be working on, I mean, in the white count, this could be wave 3 or 4, okay? So it might give us one more low. Just highlighting here that this could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, regardless of the micro count, the levels are very clear. It is possible we get a fifth wave to the upside, but the reward to risk ratio, yeah, it's better than late yesterday, but it still would likely only give us a fifth wave up. Whereas to the downside, there was a reasonable short trade setup, which could still be relevant if we get another rally closer to the invalidation point. But yeah, for now, the levels haven't changed. Okay, so what we need to watch for today is, can the bulls hold support, which is clearly defined, and push higher in one more high? If that's the case, then I will see the white scenario as confirmed. It would only be the first confirmation, however, so the bulls will need to hold a higher low in the subsequent pullback, which would then be a wave 2, for which I cannot give you support yet. But the white count would be the bullish one. Hasn't fulfilled requirements yet. I see no fifth wave, yeah. And even if we say, some people might say maybe that's truncation here, where the price just couldn't push above the last high for various reasons, but it might be a fifth wave, but it's only a 3-wave move, so not reliable at all. So at the moment, still sort of in no man's land, yeah, where we are moving between an invalidation point and support, and we need that break of support to confirm the yellow scenario further. That's the update about Bitcoin. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment and subscribe. And if you really like the content, then please check out the channel membership. Also, make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Twitter for additional content. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.